Hey, I'm the Netherrealm Nobody, and this is the Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm, Episode 9, Resurrection Review. Alrighty, so, basically Tsung has been resurrected, brought back from the dead, and with the help of this alien orb, he's able to kind of weaken and take away Raiden's powers. And this is actually a part 3 of like a 4 episode story arc that involves other TV shows, and it has a cameo in the end by the Wing Master. Alright, so a lot to unpack here. So let me get into that part first. So apparently, during this Saturday morning block of cartoons, you had Street Fighter, the Savage Dragon, Mortal Kombat, and then Wing Commander Academy. And they were trying to tie them all together, and they had the Wing Master, who apparently is some kind of like interdimensional portal hopping, time traveling being, and this orb. And I guess they kind of loosely tied them all together with him kind of appearing in each episode. So that's that's the only thing that really ties together. However, I guess he had a bigger part in the other shows. Here, he only kind of has a cameo at the end, and you don't even know who he is. In fact, I remember watching it, thinking, what the like the first time I saw it, before I even knew about this at all, I didn't know anything about this period. I think like, well, who's that guy? And then it's just never brought up again. And went until I started in this show, I did my research, I was like, oh, okay, that's what they were doing. Okay, gotcha. So yeah, that's what's happening here. So anyways, we kick things off. Shadow Priest bring in a crate that has bones in it. Small coffins in Outworld. They just put you in a box. But they dump them out in front of Shao Kahn, and Khan's like, do you have the elixir or whatever, the potion? And apparently it's so secret that only Shadow Priests know about this potion. And he takes it out, puts a drop on the bones, and it's Shang Tsung back. However, the first thing Shao Kahn does when Shang Tsung comes back, just pimp smacks the shit out of him. He's pissed. You failed me too many times, and now, we are at war with Earthrealm instead of invading it. However, because at this point, Shang Tsung's like, why'd you bring me back then if you're just going to beat me up? He's like, I was already being tortured. And he was basically, I guess, in another realm. They don't come out and say it, but it's a hell-type place with all these horn creatures. And he's like, oh, don't get wrong. If you mess up this, you're going back. But here's what we're going to do. And he explains that he found this alien orb. He pulls it out of this other dimension. And with it, you can yield all the powers of Earth. All the elements. You control nature, pretty much. And with it, you can take away Raiden's powers. And so, he's showing it. He's demonstrating how powerful this thing is. And then he just, hands it over to Shang Tsung. And I'm like, even though what we know now with the Deadly Alliance, it's like, you had to know this is going to backfire, right? And the funny thing is, as soon as he hands the orb over, and he's like, you better not fail me. Him and the Shadow Priest, walk off screen. And they're barely off for, a second before Shang Tsung's like, not only will I get revenge on Raiden, but I will take out Shao Kahn as well and rule the Outworld. Ha ha. And I'm like, dude, he's right there. You're yelling all this stuff out, he's right there. But whatever. Anyways, so we already know Shang Tsung's planning on using this orb to take over Earthrealm, and then fuck over Shao Kahn. So we now cut to, and I want to apologize in advance. I'm fighting a cold right now, and I can feel myself wanting to cough in a second. So when I start coughing up a lung, don't be alarmed. So we cut now back to the Defenders, and they're in the cave, and they're all repairing and cleaning the different fighter jets they had, the combat jets. And of course, Jax is giving Raiden shit. Calls him girlfriend again. That's written into the screenplay right there. Someone literally wrote that back in '96. Jax looks up at Raiden and says, what's going on, girlfriend? And they're like, you're going to have him say girlfriend? He's like, yeah, but he'll say it sassy. And we all know sassy is just code for black. And that's how you're going to say it. It's ridiculous. But it's forgiven because later on, Raiden returns to the girlfriend in like the straightest, whitest voice ever. Well, let's talk about it, girlfriend. And it's just like, okay, you know what? All is forgiven, and I'll take everything back. Anyways, so Jax is kind of busting Raiden's balls about not helping him out, and then instantly, like Raiden has like a weird seizure, and he just starts shaking, and he drops. And of course, instantly Jack's like, "What's wrong?" And of course, Katana and Liu Kang come over, and "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm good. Get back to work." But Nightwolf, kicks in. He goes, "Guys, we got a problem. Everybody, to the command center." And so they all head that way. The only person who's not really buying anything is Jax. He knows something's wrong with Raiden. So you get there to the command center, and it turns out it's not a rip in the dimensional portal, no. But there's something else weird going on. And of course, it's like, there's something weird going on. We should go check it out. So Raiden, of course, at this point, what it is, it's the nature is going insane. Like there's earthquakes where there shouldn't be earthquakes. Like there's no plates, and yet the earth is shaking. There's tidal waves in the desert. You see ice melting, tornadoes, just all kinds of, fucking natural disasters happening all over the globe. And so they kind of pinpointed the source. And so Raiden's like, yeah, head out there, check it out. And Jax is instantly like, hey, is this connected to that weird seizure thing you had? Raiden plays it off. So then Jax fakes a headache. And he's like, guys, I'm not feeling myself. Head out there, leave the fighter jet. I'll catch up with you, but just, let me try to get my bearings together. So Raiden's like, I'll watch the command center. Nightwolf's like, fine, I'll take your spot. And they head off. So Jax is instantly like, hey, Raiden, what's going on? This connected. Is this whole thing, And of course, Raiden admits, yes, I've been feeling weird. I don't, there's something wrong with my powers. And, I don't know what's going on. And yeah, it must be this. So at this point, Jax is going to stay behind and help him. And they decide to go check it out together. And you get a cool interaction between the two. Because again, even from the beginning, episode 1, these guys are always busting each other's balls. So to kind of see them have to kind of lean on each other, it's kind of neat. We do get the Defenders show up, and there's cybernetic warriors. They're fighting them off as they push them back into. And we get some cool moments. We get Sub-Zero's got a hold of one guy. He's like turns into ice and shatters him, killing him. We establish these guys have souls, so another murder on Mortal Kombat cartoon. We get Stryker. Because Sonya always says combat time when she's ready to fight. We get Stryker doing strike time. I don't know if that catchphrase ever caught on. Let's be honest, combat time never really caught on either. But I sure as shit know strike time didn't catch on. Anyways, though, he's used his nightstick to kick some ass. Eventually, they end up sending him back into the rift, and then they're going to seal it up. However, a big freaking wind gust takes them all down, and there's Shang Tsung. And of course, he's like, I got my revenge, and Liu Kang's like, I got this, but instantly, Shang Tsung whoops his ass, and then he opens up the earth. They all drop inside this chasm. They all basically barely hang on. They're almost going to fall in some lava. They hang on, and then the chasm's going to close on them. But he stops it just dying. He's like, listen, you get a hold of Raiden, you tell him I want to meet him here. We're going to fight Mortal Kombat. And if he fails to show up, I want to squish all you guys. So, they communicate back. And Raiden doesn't tell them what's going on. He leaves them in the dark. He don't let them know he's losing his powers. Or he lost his powers. So Jax is like, all right, I'm with you. That's the best way we do this. He goes, we don't have very many powers. And whenever we're backs against the wall, teamwork is what, keeps us going. So I'm going with you. So getting a little fighter jet. We do get a nice little moment where Raiden and Jax are talking. And Jax is like, why do you put yourself in harm's way all the time for us? Like, you're an elder god. You can rule over any, realm you want. You don't have to be doing this. And Raiden just says, basically, he likes the diversity of Earth. And he says, you get a lot of power. He goes, Earth is both the most powerful realm, but also the most fragile. But he can draw a lot of it. Not only does he get kind of like the power from Earth, but almost like he has a connection to the people. And he also says he likes rooting for the underdog. But then, of course, he's kind of, he's still a little sensitive that he's a mere mortal at this point. And Jax kind of busts his balls about that. But then Raiden's like, well, what about you? Why do you, keep putting yourself at risk for Earthrealm? Of course, his response is like, it's Same thing. I like this place. It's, you know, it's home. And then he kind of drops like, you know, if I don't, Outworld will take us over, and that could be the end anyway. So if I'm not gonna fight, who will? You know, kind of thing. And I do like that sentiment because they kind of go ahead and acknowledge that, you know, literally. They acknowledge that, you know, it's a never-ending fight. And this is the same sentiment that Sonya had a couple episodes back when she was suspended, and she was kind of looking for a way out. Like, a part of her was like, if I would have got suspended completely and kicked out of the group, at least that would have been an excuse to no longer fight. And you get the sense that they're all kind of getting fatigued by this. And I do like that because that does kind of echo the first few games, because I always felt like that's something they didn't really touch on in the video games, at least the first three, that much with Liu Kang. Because Liu Kang wins the first tournament, and everything should be good for like 50 years, and then boom, his entire temple is destroyed. And yes, he comes back and wins part 2, but he goes home to what? To have to rebuild. And still, it doesn't matter because 2 years later, invasion from Outworld. So it's like, that would get old, and that's your life now. It's not like the old days where you could win a tournament, have peace for at least 50 years or whatever, live your lifetime, keep competing, lose, whatever, but still know, like, hey, Earthrealm's safe until whatever. No, you don't have that luxury anymore. Like, now you're just at constant war. So I did like that conversation between Raiden and Jax. I thought it was, you know, really good little scene right there. So they show up. And of course, at this point, you know, as the fighter jet enters, you know, the area, Shang Tsung knocks it down. The orb crashes it. Of course, Raiden has disappeared. And of course, Raiden's whole thing is like, yes, I may not have my powers, but I got over 1,000 years of combat experience. Like, I know how to fight. And I can beat Shang Tsung. However, it's the orb I can't fight. And so it shows it, because right off the bat, him and Shang Tsung square off. And Raiden's getting the upper hand initially, but then orb and just lightning bolt. And he's just using Mother Nature against Raiden. Now, while this is going on, he's kicking Raiden's ass. Jax is trying to pull up the other defenders. He got a rope. He's pulling them up. They're all climbing up. Sub-Zero's the only one who can't climb, and they went like very literal with him. Apparently, heat fucks him up, which is something I don't think they ever really added before or since. In fact, I know they did it before, and I'm pretty sure they didn't do it since. Because we even see the original Sub-Zero in Mythologies head down to the Netherrealm, and there's lava scenes and shit down there, and he's fine. So it's like, I don't know if I'm buying that or not. But anyways, here he's just so weak. And like Nightwolf, being the beast that he is, just throws his ass over his shoulder, one hand, and just starts climbing that shit. And you're like, dude, that's strong. He does have Kiva inside him though, so that may help. Anyways, however, Shang Tsung discovers it, that that Jax is helping him, and he starts pushing it together. The chasm's closing. He's gonna squish him. And then Raiden jumps in from behind, knocks the orb out of his hand. Jax is able to jump, grab it, throw it to Raiden. Raiden stops the chasm just in time. Our defenders all get out, unscathed. And then, of course, at this point, he's going to whip Shang Tsung's ass. And he goes, I don't need an orb to do it. And so he whips Shang Tsung's ass. However, he does have his powers back. And instead of killing him, he just throws him back into the portal. Which is another dumb mistake. He's like, I'll have, Shao Kahn deal with him. It's like, Shao Kahn's way too forgiving as it is. Just in general, when it comes to Shang Tsung. Like, yeah, he's pretty pissed now, but it's like, it's a Shang Tsung. He's gonna weasel his way out of it. Raiden, what the fuck? You should have killed him when you had a chance. But he doesn't, and he sends him back into the Outworld. And so, he decides he's gonna throw the orb back into a portal and send it to space to get rid of it for good. And when he does, there's a big flash, and when that flash happens, you see a shadow figure run out and then run right into the portal, disappearing, and no one sees him. And that was the Winged Master from this whole story arc with the other cartoons. So anyways, portal shuts, and our heroes are good. Of course, we get some lighthearted banter between the two, between Jax and Raiden. Of course, Sonya's like, you guys are buddies now? And they're like, not likely. But you do realize that, yes, now they kind of understand each other a little bit more, and there is a friendship forming there. So, and that was the ninth episode, Resurrection. I liked it. I thought it was a really good storyline. I'll give them props for trying something different on the USA Network. It didn't really work out, and as a standalone episode, it does nothing for that arc or the Wing Master. But I think it's also smart to kind of minimize that as much as you could. Because honestly, unless this was a huge hit, like all 4 shows were huge hits, then this don't mean anything, really. It really doesn't. Unless you are that, 10% of kids who actually watch all 4 shows, you're just like, yay. It doesn't matter. But beyond that, I thought this was a really solid episode. Cool to see Shang Tsung back. Good that he's not dead. Kind of glad he survives. And I don't think he comes back the rest of the season. But had the show gone on, we would have got more Shang Tsung. I'm sure of it. The dynamic between Jax and Raiden was awesome. Love this storyline. Love this whole thing. Solid thumbs up. So if you guys see this episode, tell me what you think about. Comment section down below. I never did watch the other episodes. I never seen the other shows, period. So I don't know if they're any good or not. But I am curious to see what the other episodes that deal with the Wingmaster are like. Because I'm kind of curious, like, does that arc make sense? Does this fit in nicely? Because it's supposed to be chronological. This, like I said, this is part 3. So it's like, does it fit well into the other 2? I don't know. Curious to hear what you guys think about it. Let me know. Comment section down below. That's all I got. Guys, thank you for watching. And till next time.